Okay, it is 7 o'clock, so we will call the regular meeting of the Cannon Township Board to order for June 23. We'll start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jessica.
Dear Lord, thank you very much for this wonderful day. Please bless everyone in this room and that we can be thankful for the air conditioning and let us have a wonderful meeting and that everyone makes it home safe. Amen.
Amen. Nancy.
Jim.
Here.
Cy.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Jessica.
Here.
Steve.
Here.
Todd. David.
Here.
Motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions, comments, additions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Need a motion to approve the minutes of June 9.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any changes to the minutes? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Approval of bills. General Fund 19,275 through 19,306 and EFT 852. Do I have a motion to approve the bills?
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
There are no reports. Public comment. Anybody want to address us now on anything? If not, oh, come on up.
Let's see. This is even one. Very good. Lori Romsberg, 5738 Dorado Court, Rockford. I just wanted to express my support for the solar project. It seems very much in keeping with Cannon Township's philosophy of being fiscally responsible. It seems like it would save us a lot of money over the years. And I think it's also a great opportunity to educate the community on solar and the benefits of that.
Good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to say anything? If not, I got an email, the board did, from Rita Proctor, and I told her I would make sure her email is included in the meeting and the minutes. So I'm going to read this. Good afternoon. I wanted to email my support of the solar proposal on tonight's agenda. Unfortunately, I can't be there in person due to a conflict with my kids' summer schedule. However, my husband Gabe worked with Henry and Mary on this. We are big proponents of solar and the many benefits it offers, both environmentally and financially, among other factors. Thank you for taking time to discuss, review, and vote. And I think I'm going to do as public comment now from Martin Balk, addressed to me. It was a letter, and I just got it. It was mailed, it looks like June 13th. On Friday, May 23rd, my wife, Melissa, and I were walking to a neighborhood party when we came upon a car on Wilkinson Drive that was running and appeared to be without occupants. When we approached the car, I noticed a female slumped over the console into the passenger seat. I opened the passenger door to get the attention of the driver, but found her unresponsive. I immediately called 911 and was instructed to get her out of the car and start CPR, which a neighbor and I did until the emergency medical personnel arrived on the scene. The response time from the time I called 911 until we heard sirens may have been less than 1 minute. The Cannon Township Fire Department and Rockford Ambulance arrived at the same time and immediately took over with the resuscitation efforts. I would estimate that within 15 minutes' time, there was a total of 12 to 15 emergency personnel from Cannon Township Fire Department, Rockford Ambulance, and the Kent County Sheriff's Department. Each of the responders worked efficiently and tirelessly to save a life. Chief Morris and his team should be commended for their professionalism and dedication as first responders to the residents of Cannon Township. Signed, Martin Balk, which we are used to getting these about our fire department, aren't we?
There we are.
we will pass that on. The chief, is he on a call or something? Must be. All right. So there is no more public comment. So really the only thing on our agenda is pending business solar panel proposal. So go ahead, Henry.
Okay. I want to explain how we got here within one meeting. I had a concept of taking that 5 acres and taking a small part of it and making a solar farm. Well, I did a little research, and Consumers doesn't pay anything hardly if you don't have a building attached to it. So that quickly got eliminated. And so then talking to Jim
Jim.
Alley,
Okay.
I learned some of the challenges he had, and he handed me this nice pile of quotes here that he had collected for what he had sent out.
That was part of the facilities committee?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Right. And the number one quote was from Wellspring, which is the company that you see in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
One of the challenges they had was the changing of the panel, the cost to change it to fit what they had proposed. And so we did a little adjusting on the amount of kilowatt hours so we don't have to change the panel. Trying to trim the costs of the whole program instead of making huge changes to try fit, make the solar fit us.
You mean we don't have to ever change the panels?
Well, no, but we don't have to make a big investment. How much was it, Jim? Do you remember?
And it was around 10 grand. And it's not the solar panels; it's where the power comes
Right.
into the building. Our main hub switch
Yeah.
is rated at like 750 kW, and most of them are coming in at about 8 to 900 kW, and that won't go through a 750 kW switch. So we had to upgrade that.
So we tried to stay within what we have. So we trimmed it down a little bit just to stay in there. So that's how we got to where we're at this fast. And the other things that came up is the rebates are going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
And the panels are pre tariffs and pre price increase because they had bought them a long time ago. And we wanted to try to get a savings on that. And there's another program where we can apply for a grant that ends by June 30. So at this point, I would like my committee to come and do the presentation. So Mary, you want to come up? Mary is the lead person for this as far as the presentation.
Okay.
I'd like to pass out to each of the board members.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And just for the audience, there's a PowerPoint that's sent to Shelley, and there's some extra copies of the PowerPoint in the chair right here. If anybody wants to take one, they're welcome to do so. Just get my notes for a moment.
You got to talk right into that.
Okay. My name is Mary Scherzer, 6763 Knollcrest, Rockford. About a year ago, a suggestion was offered to the township to look into having solar energy for the township hall's energy needs. I think the vision at first was rooftop, and that kind of changed from there to a solar array as being more efficient. Before I go too much farther, I'd like to thank Jim Ellis, the clerk, and Todd Olson for a lot of the pre-work that they've done on this. Jim got 14 different estimates from companies, which is a lot, I think. And I know Jim and Todd on the facilities committee did a lot of reviewing of all of this and going over the specs and things. So I would like to.
And the chief was on that too.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Chief too. So I would like to thank you all for the work that you've done on this project already. So this decision was, or a suggestion was made that the township look into solar. Henry has kind of taken the ball from there and done a lot of work in the last few weeks. And as he mentioned, kind of have settled on from these 14 estimates, Wellspring Company. They were originally the lowest bid. The bids ran from, I think, $190,000 up to about $500,000. Henry worked with Wellspring, as he mentioned, to get some of the costs down. If you look on the slides, I'm sorry, I don't have the page numbers. I kind of got mixed up on that a little bit.
Here's a copy.
Oh, no, I mean, I have it here.
Oh,
I can't tell you which page to look at. I'm sorry.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I have the information right here. Thank you. But if you look at the page that says system design 92 kilowatts, you can see that the cost for the system right now, just the basic cost would be $152,454. With the federal rebate that we can get, that's $45,736. That the important thing about that we want to act as soon as we can is that rebate will go away at the end of the year. But we still are eligible for that rebate as a governmental unit. That brings the cost down to $106,718. There is a 6.2 year payback for the system. So after 6.2 years, the system is paid for itself. And over the lifespan, or excuse me, over 25 years, this system could save Cannon Township $552,898 in electrical bills. I mean, that's over $500,000 in electrical bills that solar could save the township. Just a couple other points. Currently, the township's electrical bill for a year is $22,823. The estimated cost for solar will bring that down to $7,673. That's a 66% cost savings in our township electrical bill to put in the solar system. There's a lot of stuff in here about kilowatts and stuff, and I don't really know a lot about that, but we do have a representative from Wellspring here tonight who can address that when we get to that point. And also, if you have any questions, please just ask. You don't have to wait or anything like that. I will try and answer what I can, and if I can, I'm sure the representative from Wellsprings can answer them. I'd like to next kind of start on this pro and con chart that we made out. I think it's maybe a real easy way to understand what we're trying to say. If you look under the first pro of substantial cost savings, I think I kind of mentioned a lot of that already, but 66% savings in electrical bill, I think that's pretty significant. And that's one really, I think, really good thing with the township being fiscally responsible and using what's available to be fiscally responsible. I myself, as a resident, have solar, and I know it saved me on my electrical bills a lot of money, and especially in the summer when the bills are high from air condition use. It's my last bill was $14, so that's a big savings. Just a little bit about the solar system itself. The panels have a life expectancy of 50 to 60 years. So I mean, there's a substantial investment in putting the system in, but if you get 50 or 60 years out of the panels we put up, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, that's like a person living 60 years almost. And a lot of parts of the panel are recyclable. So they're not going to end up in a landfill. They're going to be able to be recycled. And 50 years, 60 years from now, when it will be time to replace those panels, the systems for recycling that and reusing those systems is going to be vastly improved from what we have right now with the technological improvements that we can expect to happen. There's very minimal cost to maintaining a solar system once it's up. It pretty much just goes and does its own thing. Another important thing, I think, is that putting our solar system up sends a message to our community that Cannon Township really cares about our environment. We try to think of ourselves as a community that cares about our streams and our lakes. I mean, we go to great lengths to put sewer in around the lake so we protect the water. And this just is another example of how people in Cannon Township want to preserve our environment and strengthen our environment. Our parks, we spend a lot of time on our parks. So we have a community that really appreciates those sorts of things. And I feel that the solar is another example of the care that Cannon Township has for the environment. And I did a little bit of research, and I think that Cannon Township would be the only governmental building within Kent County that would have a solar system. And I looked a little bit farther, and I found out there's a governmental building in, I think, Kalamazoo County that has solar, but we could be a leader in West Michigan too. And I think that demonstrates that we in Cannon Township, we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. We say we care about our environment, and we're going to do something to prove that. So I think that Cannon Township could be a leader, a trendsetter. I think other townships, other governmental units might come to us at some point and say, how did we do this? Because they see that what we're doing is a really positive thing for our environment. And just the section about environmental values, I think that just kind of elaborated on that, but we're just showing that we really do care about our environment. There are a couple cons, as there is to any project. Nothing is probably 100% perfect. But a couple things that we thought about that might be considered kind of cons, although I think each of these cons has a way to mitigate them. The first one is there is a considerable investment in this. It's $106,000 to pay the systems, and that's a lot of money for the township to decide to spend. I think, as we've mentioned, the 66% improvement in our savings in our electrical costs make it an investment that is probably wise for the township to undertake. But it is a lot of money, and it has to have fair consideration to spending that amount of money. Under that, one important thing is if I would ask that the board make a decision on this fairly quickly for a couple reasons. One is that Wellspring has a source of panels right now that are here in the United States. They do not have to. You don't have to pay a tariff on them. They're already here. And it would be wise for us, and the Wellsprings would let this happen, that we purchase those panels, not necessarily pay for the whole project right away, but pay for the panels so that we lock in the supply that they have. They've got a limited supply before they're going to have to start getting new panels that might have tariffs on them.
Where did the panels come from?
They're coming from Japan. Or not coming, they're already here, but they were.
If we didn't get these, they would come from Japan?
I don't know where they would come from, but they've got a supply right now. They have panels for us right now, these panels from Japan, but we have to purchase them because.
Right, no, that I get. I was just asking where, if we weren't able to move like immediately on these and we didn't get their panels, where do the panels come from?
That might be, would you know the answer?
Where do they come from? Go ahead. You could.
This is the man from
Yeah,
Wellsprings.
we'll probably hear from you too. So where do the panels come from?
Dave Stuckey, 408 Bristol Avenue, Middlebury, Indiana. Just felt like I should follow suit.
I went to school right down the street,
No way.
Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, the question was about the panels. So the VSUN panels, that's the brand name of the panels that we're proposing for this project. So those were purchased on a spot buy. So like Arlen, the general manager, he kind of surfs the internet for deals, right? Solar panel deals. And when he finds a quality solar panel that he can get a good deal on, he'll do like a spot buy.
I got you.
Yeah. And so we currently have, I want to say maybe 800 to 1,000 of these VSUN panels sitting in our place of business, right, in our building. So they were purchased at a lower cost, and so we can pass some of that on. When those get used, then we order from Silfab. That's a U.S. made panel company, and we can order those. Those aren't spot buys. We just call and say, hey, we need so many, brought to whatever location. Another U.S. company would be Crossroads Solar. That's actually in South Bend.
So the reason I asked that is because if these are coming from the U.S., then at least the tariffs aren't going to be a big issue, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Cost would increase, of course, but yeah. So,
All right. Go ahead. I didn't mean. I just had a question while you were talking about tariffs. Okay.
Sure.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. Yep.
The U.S. panels, as he mentioned, though, would be more expensive than these Japanese panels, but that's a good
I do
question.
like the idea of buying American. I'm just saying.
Uh-huh.
I have a question for you, Mary.
Sure.
You said these are Japan manufactured,
Mhm.
right? And you talked about a 45. You talked about a grant. How much was the grant for?
Well, there's two things. There's the federal rebate,
Sure. Okay, the rebate. I
and that's the
apologize.
45,000
And that expires at the end of this year.
at the end of this year. It's
Okay, now my question is, when we're going to turn the table a little bit
okay.
for rebates on automobiles for electric cars, they have to be manufactured in the U.S. Does the same standard apply for the solar panels?
No, it doesn't. And as soon as a down payment is made on the system, which could be just the part of the purchasing of the panels, that qualifies the township for the federal rebate.
There's no federal stipulation that these have to be made in
No.
the USA.
No, there's no stipulation to that.
Okay. Any more?
But you also mentioned, I wanted to,
Go ahead.
I can add on to that, is there is, I think Henry may have mentioned this too, there is a grant through the state of Michigan that if the township decides to go ahead with this, that we will fill out and see if we can get money from that grant also. But we have to get that grant application in by June 30th. So that's another,
That's next
it's next week.
Monday.
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Sure.
How do you come up with $500,000 in savings to the taxpayer?
Over 25 years.
Okay, so I just did some quick math. Pre-solar utility bill, $22,823. Post-solar, $76.73. That's approximately $15,150 times 25. I come up with about $379,000.
Maybe I can, could you speak to that? That came on your paper. Here, you got to come up to the.
That's all right.
So are you
To the 25.
Mary has on her pros and cons. Pro, substantial cost savings. Taxpayers $553 over 25 years.
This figure right here.
What? Yeah, well, Dave is just asking because he
figure right here.
did the math based on this.
Yeah.
The page I was referencing was page 17.
Gotcha.
handout.
Okay, so could you turn to page 17 on
Yeah.
the slideshow?
Got it.
To that, please. That way we're all looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the page 17 you're referring to? The line graph or the bar graphs? There you go. There it is. Okay, so you're referring to the consumption versus production, or the pre-solar versus post-solar utility bills?
The 22,823 and the
Seven.
post 7
Gotcha.
C6.
Okay, so the top bar graph. Okay, so trying to make sure I understand the question. Pre-solar utility bill. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, Mary. I'm going to lean on you too. So 22,800, is that not for the entire year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the 7 is for the whole year, 7,600. And so
Correct. Yeah.
David just did the math, and that comes out to.
About 379,000.
And so I think what David's question is, where did we come up with 553? Right? That it?
Correct.
Okay. So I don't know this,
Okay.
but could it be the increase, the assumed increase in utility costs over those 25 years? Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not sure that I can answer that accurately. That would be a potential area where that difference would lie. I could get back with you about that.
Okay.
answer if-
While we're on that,
Yeah.
why don't you get that to us?
Sure.
And then I had can I ask a question, David?
Sure.
Okay. I didn't know if you were done.
Linda.
The graph below that, am I
Mhm.
reading that right? That some months are closer than others, but every month except April and May, consumption outpaces production.
Correct. Yes.
How do we make that up? If we're would electric then make up the difference? The regular electric?
Yes. You'll still be grid tied. So you'll still be tied to the power lines, the power company, and you will, when you're making your own energy, you'll be using that, of course.
Mhm.
When you are making more the energy than what you can consume, you'll be sending it back to the grid. And when you're not making enough energy for your consumption, then you'll be taking it from the grid.
So this savings, pre-solar versus post-solar, is the post-solar installation utility bill, is that assuming we are only using solar?
No, that accounts for that sharing
Okay.
of energy. Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe Henry had mentioned early on, like when he'd said, here's how we got here. He was referring to the transformer that you guys have that services this building. And the original plan for the solar project here, which was before I was working with Wellspring, it was for, I think it used a 100 kilowatt inverter, which was too big for your transformer. So had we been able to go with that original plan, I'm guessing the consumption, the yellow bars in that second bar graph, all but maybe November, December, January, February, the yellow bars would have been higher than your consumption or the orange bars. But because in order to put in a new transformer here, it would have cost, according to the notes that I have, like upwards of $20,000 to $25,000, which the utility company would have required us to do in order to put in that larger inverter. That is when I guess things got scaled back a little bit. So you don't make as much energy, you don't produce as much energy with your system, but you also won't spend as much on your system, of course, either.
So does these graphs, are they general nationwide, or are they specific to us in West Michigan?
They are specific to this property.
Okay.
Yep.
So does it make any here's I don't have a problem with solar. I don't know that we're quite ready to decide this. I
Sure.
do think that we've got some other things to weigh. Seems like to me the end of the year is a decent goal, but I'm concerned about if solar is a great idea, which maybe it is, but and if it is, they'd be fine. I get a little concerned when we're scaling something back that from what you had proposed, because it seems like to me what you proposed in your view is what we would need, right? That would be best for us, right?
So when we design a solar system, we usually ask the customer, what are your goals? Like, are you looking for the environmental impact? Are you looking to save money? Are you looking to like go off grid altogether and say goodbye to your power company? I don't, excuse me, I don't know what that conversation would have been like since I wasn't employed yet with Wellspring. However, from listening to Mary and and the others who wrote in, it sounds like it's a little bit of all of those things. If those are your goals, to save money and try to be environmentally friendly, within a budget, like to save money, but not to also break the piggy bank or whatever you want to frame it as. I feel like this is a good system. It meets all of those goals. If you want to spend more, sure, you'll save more.
Well, so it okay, so I interrupted you.
Can I-
Yeah, go ahead.
So for the original solar bid process that went out, Brian and Newhoff came up with our specifications based on our power usage and whatever expertise they had putting it together. That was then sent to Kent County, and we used their bid process to get it. So everybody that bid the original bid had the exact same information.
So
so-
if we are now changing
Yeah, we're,
our requirements, shouldn't we go?
well, it's only fair that if we're going to change the requirements, that we don't hold everybody else to this standard. And
Right, but even before we get to that point, did you, Henry, did you and Mary and Rita talk to our engineers about what our needs are and scaling them back to so we could make this more economically palatable? Did we?
I tried. They were in a convention, so I couldn't get to them.
Well, it seems like we would want to know that, right? Because that's what we paid them for to do that analysis already, right?
right, to get the specification so everybody was quoting apples and apples.
Right. And because one of the things we have to do as a board is comply with the bid policy that we have, which I'm sure you understand. And I do appreciate you being here. This is really informative. To a large extent, it seems to make sense to me. I do have a lot of questions, which we don't need to get into tonight, but it seems like to me that there's balancing factors for all these. Like, I get the environmental impact is less, but what I don't know yet is, which at some point I'd like to find out more about, is what is the environmental impact on manufacturing the panels? Because it seems to me you got to weigh those because there's going to be a net, right? Because there is some environmental impact on making these, right? Yeah.
I mean, there would be an environmental impact on making anything.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we look at is the net, right? And
Correct.
I am absolutely not against solar. But it seems like, at least for me, here's another thing. Where is the facilities committee with this?
Because of the interest of the new playground, the cemetery that we're putting out in that same area where this solar array was going to go, we put it on hold to come up with a master plan or something to figure out how much space is there and what is needed.
Because we have committed to the concept of putting, sorry to bore you with this, but
No, you're fine.
but we have committed to the concept. We're putting a cemetery back here,
Correct.
and then we've committed to the concept of greatly expanding the playground.
Correct.
for older kids, ADA compliant, kids that need ADA equipment.
Correct.
So that's very important to us. And it has to be better than Cortland's. But so t- has the rec committee, taken this up?
The solar or the playground?
The property back there. Do we have any idea what the footprint of all that's going to look like?
I don't think there's I think there's big picture ideas, but nothing formally in place yet. I know that at the last meeting we met and looked at ideas of playgrounds, like what we could fit in there for cost and how we want that to look. You know, obviously some can be taller, some can be wider, so we don't
Right.
have space there. There was talks of putting like some kind of field back there to play sports on. There's
That's
been a
what's
lot
back there now.
Right. There's been a lot of conversations around that, but nothing has been committed. It was just our last meeting. We discussed the kind of the what ifs or kind of like the big picture ideas.
Are you going to engage? Is the rec committee going to engage the public in what they'd like to see back there?
As far as I know, that sometime this fall, probably in the fall communicator, even Todd was considering sending out a survey. He just sent an email about it to the Parks and Rec committee about sending a survey out to the whole township to see what the interest of that space would be, and as well as it kind of fits into, like, I think it's the 10-year master plan of the township. After 5 years, we're due to do this survey again, and we're in the 5th year of that right now. So that's where this survey is coming from.
Do you think that the rec committee, even though the communicator goes out in the fall, do you think that the rec committee utilizing, since Rita's been working on this, and we could utilize Canon Informed, we could use our website, our Facebook page to promote this survey and move that up so it's this summer instead of this fall?
I would think so. Yeah. Yes, Mary.
What? What is the idea about the survey? Oh, it's coming in. This one?
Do you want to?
Todd, get that to you? So the survey's already going out. Okay, well, that's good. Do you have it? When do you have to have it by? Well, I saw you yelling at Ed today in email. Okay, good. Well,
Todd, can I?
Yeah.
I'm on the committee too, and he in the email that he sent out that Cy was referring to, he said that survey was going to come out in the August communicator.
I
well,
misspoke. I mean,
see, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking. We have one coming out soon. That's the next one.
So I'm sorry. So the next one will be August is like the summer one, and then the fall one will be like October, November. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. So Mary, I'm sorry. I mixed up on the dates, but it's in the works to do the survey.
Do we want to wait till August to start this survey process? Or is that you're going to take it that much time to put the survey together? I don't know how surveys.
I think there is a lot of time that's involved with it because Prina Newhoff helps with those surveys and the gathering of all that data. It's not just simply like a couple open-ended questions that they ask.
Well, one of the things that I'm going to let you get back to it. I'm sorry, but once we get started, we have all these questions. So sorry, you're going to finish, I promise.
Okay.
But one of the things that I am, frankly, the least of my concern is the rebate. Because if it's the right thing to do and it's right for the environment, it's right for the people of Cannon, and we're going to make the money back. Sounds like we're going to make the money back with or without the rebate thing. And that's right, isn't it? Eventually we'd make it back, whether we get the rebate or not.
Yeah.
So the rebate's not that important. I'd rather we do it right than to make a decision before everyone has their questions answered just so we could get a rebate. And if we pay a little bit more or somewhat more for U.S. made panels, to me, that's worth it to buy American. That's just my view. Because if we're going to be good stewards and if we're going to be an example, we might as well be an example for all of it and say buy American.
Okay. Right? I mean, that's your choice, of course.
That was one of the specifications in the original bid that it had to be American made. So
good.
That's what all those prices were.
Good. All right. Well, before, does anybody else have any questions for Mayor before we let her continue?
Mayor, I have another question on cost, but I don't know if you have that somewhere else. If you want to keep going. I
No,
can wait
go
till
ahead.
the end.
Go ahead.
I think it's the next slide, if you don't mind. The next one. That lifetime bill comparison works out to like $677,000 in some change, like in a difference of the cost. Where does that, is that a savings then? Like, so like the two numbers there, the 25 years with solar, 25 years without solar.
I'm going to
That's-
let the Wellspring band.
Yeah, no. And that's what I'm just curious of, because that's close to $700,000 difference. And that is a lot different than the 500 that you propose, 300. And I understand that there's a savings involved, but like we need to make a decision based on the actual cost savings.
Sure. Yeah. So again, I don't know that I can say accurately like where that difference lies. I can say this. So from the 3 weeks that I have worked at Wellspring Solar, this is the software that they use to design their solar systems that they offer to customers, potential customers. And Wellspring offers a 10% production guarantee, meaning the system that we would install for you will meet or exceed, it will meet within 10% plus or minus. Most people are concerned about, they don't mind 10% extra, but within 10% of what we say it will produce. That is how much we trust the software.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I am novice enough with the software. I don't know that I can accurately answer your questions, at least Mr. Spencer's and yours. And I don't want to give you misinformation.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's unfair to you because we're throwing all these things at you with no preparation.
no, it's okay.
I do have a suggestion. I would write it down, but the pen that Jim gave me doesn't work. Well, now it's too late. I know what I'm going to say. So, what I suggest we do, I think we should get this back moving fairly rapidly. So I think we need to have a coordination with the rec committee. You guys figure out what's going to go on back there, because we have made a commitment to the public based on input from the public that is supposed, we are going to make that cemeteries, not that these two things go necessarily together, but part of it's going to be cemetery, an open area for kids to play, and then the new playground, right? So I don't know where that solar array or whatever you call it would fit in there, or if it would based on what we have in motion so far. Then what we have to do is, if it doesn't, we have to decide what's more important with input from the public, which we always get. Would we rather not have a playground and have solar? Or can we fit it in there? Would those two things go together? I don't know. The other thing that we have to figure out is what Prine is going to say about the reduction in what we think are requirements. We need Prine to weigh in on that, right?
Correct.
They have to give us an opinion on that. And then given our bid policy, we have to then decide, because right now what we have is your costs and prices are based on the basis of a bid that no one else bidded on.
Correct.
Right? Bidded is not a word, is it? It's
Yeah,
not.
bidded.
Bid on. So you see what I'm saying? So we have a policy that we have to look. Your company seems great. I know you're new to it, but you do seem like you know what you're doing. I have no doubt in my mind that there would be some savings to this. To me, what's also less important is we are good stewards of money, but it's not always about saving the most. It's about spending the money wisely for the township. So if this made sense, even if it was a slight savings, but it provided better power, cleaner energy, whatever, well, that might or might not be enough for board members to vote on. It doesn't have to be 379 or 500 or 600. I think we just need to get more of a handle on this. So what I'm suggesting we do before Mary finishes, I promise you will, is I suggest, tell me if anybody disagrees with this. I think what we ought to do is have the facilities committee meet soon. And if you'd be available by Zoom
Mhm.
or speakerphone or something, right?
June is almost done.
Zoom.
Oh, Zoom. I thought you said June. Okay.
Hearing it is in too.
Yeah, it is.
God.
You mumble.
Yeah, do I? Well, it's because I also do. Like, I slur my speech. It's really awful. Truthful. So I think that let's nail some of let's focus this and let's put it on a more of a front burner here. Sai, as soon as you know something, why don't you guys work with the facilities committee? You guys communicate and let's get the committees involved in this, but get it more on a front burner so that we can make a decision hopefully by the end of the year. Right? Does that make sense?
That's for you guys to decide.
Oh,
Have you seen slide 9 yet?
I've seen them all.
Okay, because
what is slide 9?
well, I believe
Page 9?
Yes. I think that's the slide that shows our proposed footprint.
The what?
The proposed footprint.
Well,
for
that's
the
what I didn't
solar panels.
know.
Because that was one of your questions.
It was, but then my question, well, right. But what I don't know from that, and this is kind of where my question was going, because I just had it out, because that's the one with the big blue.
There we go.
The big
Yeah.
blue. Yeah, that's
And
the
there
one I
are
was
a couple options there.
Right. So, see, what I don't know is where the playground's going to be, where the cemetery. Where's my other pages? Oh, here, I know what I did. I took these out of order here. So 9 is. Wait a minute. This is mine. Where? This one. Yeah, okay. All right. So, all right, that's what I'm getting at. So, what is the triangle? Oh, so we would have to clear trees and brush on this design, right? You'd have to clear it in the orange.
Correct.
Now, is that where you're anywhere near your cemetery?
Correct.
That is your cemetery.
Part of it is, yeah. I don't know.
All right. So that was my question. That's why we have to. You might as well add cemetery committee to this, right? Because you are well on your way to mapping out where that's going to be, right?
Brian is doing that right now.
All right. So I don't know that slide 9 would work.
Okay.
Based on what we've got. And then there was another slide you had where it wasn't that far over where it said you wouldn't have to remove trees.
Correct.
Which one was that?
It's probably the one before or after it. There you go. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's right. So this is, that's the one I was looking at too. So we wouldn't have to do this, but this is with the lower service, right? Or whatever you call it, right?
What do you mean by service?
That's what we were saying. We can cut back on what we want. That's this.
Both of these designs are the 92 kilowatt.
Yeah, both of them are.
This is the exact same.
Oh, they
system.
both are. Okay.
So what we did, we tried to give you a couple options for footprint size. This one, if we can shrink up the footprint.
Why not?
If we start with the farthest south row of panels being a foot off the ground, and then the next row being 2 feet off the ground, and then 3 feet and 4 feet. That way they don't get in each other's way as the sun is moving to the south in the winter, and of course east to west every day. And the other example was if we kept them all at 3 feet, which is our standard height for ground mount solar panels.
Well, I see the 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Yeah.
Well, what doesn't, there's for a couple reasons, the one with the red triangle thing, that doesn't seem to make sense that we're going to cut down trees because we want to be more environmentally friendly.
Well, we're going to cut down trees for the cemetery anyway.
Oh, are we?
But you can't bury people underneath a tree.
You're not doing those environmental burials?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. So see, there's a lot we have to consider here. So if we're cutting down trees anyway, maybe this would work somewhere over there, right? But it depends on how
Close it gets to the playground
and the cemetery, because this is going to be, I will be honest with you, very tight. Even if you look at the gazebo there, that's already there in that little playground thing, that's going to go right up to those. And then I don't know if your cemetery would fit there. I don't know that all three of these things would fit. Right.
It's going to take some looking at.
All right, so that's what we have to do. So, thanks. So, Mary, why don't you go ahead and finish, and I'm sure we'll interrupt you again.
Well, a lot of the things I was going to finish up have kind of already been mentioned, so I don't know that I necessarily
Oh, that's yours.
need to say them again. Kind of have discussed the placement and the placement options that are, and potentially, I mean, I wasn't aware of the cemetery, although, like you said, trees are going to be cut down for a cemetery anyway.
But then something's going to go there. That's our
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. But the placement of the array could be, I mean, there could be a possibility that all three could be there. I mean,
There is a possibility.
everybody would have to talk and see what would work.
Absolutely. No, there is absolutely a possibility, because if we knew there wasn't, we would say so now. We wouldn't waste everybody's time.
But I don't think we know that yet.
We don't.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we don't. Right now, it's a possibility, but it's also a possibility that it won't fit. We don't know,
Yeah.
because we just don't know.
Just one other thing to mention in the, say, between the rows there, some communities or some places have put community gardens between those two. And I've always thought that would be kind of a nice idea for that area, to open it up to a community garden. So that's just another thought of,
So we're going to put more things there?
well, it's to be in the space between the, nothing would be there. I mean, just like grass would
These
grow
are all
there.
good ideas. I'm a
No,
gardener
it's
myself.
it's a thought that some places do.
So the beauty of this is that we're really now starting to talk about it. So I would suggest that what you do, and have your friends, Rita and whoever, you're on the rec committee.
Mhm.
So tell the rec committee that you'd like that be considered too.
I have.
Oh, good. How's that going?
I don't hear anything back.
Okay. Well, you're on the committee, so ask, right? So speak up at the committee, and then, because what we want to do is we want to coordinate this and get reports from the committees. That's why they're there, because they're investigating this, and you can see the work that Jim Morris and Todd did on this already. And I think the thing that when you brought this back to us, the board decided, let's get it back, because we have to decide what's going back there with the rec committee. And right.
Yeah, we just kind of put everything on hold until we figured out what that master plan for that space, what's available.
Well, we're going to find that out sometime in August, September, October. Yeah, after, right? It's thing is going to go out. Do we have to wait till August for the survey?
I don't know how long it takes to.
You're right. It is a month away.
Yeah. June's all gone. So
I know.
I'm not sure how long the survey process takes as far as what has to go into it, but the goal of it was to have it done by fall. And
Okay.
that doesn't mean it can't be done
Okay.
before then.
Well,
I think it's on the agenda, so to speak.
But again, does anybody disagree with me that it is more important to make the right decision than to make a decision because we might get a rebate, right? Does that make sense?
Second.
Right? Yeah, because that makes sense to me. And it is important to buy American. So we all agree on that. Did you have more, Mary?
I have one more thing I'd
Go
like
ahead.
to add. Just to, for the accreditation of Wellspring, Henry did write to Prine and Newhoff and ask them what their opinion was of that company. I don't know if
I read it. We all read it. I will tell you. Here's the problem.
Did
I
you
have
read
no.
this one, or we spoke on the phone a couple? 'cause
What's that?
I think this might be a different one than what you have.
Oh, what's
Um,
that one?
It starts out when we spoke on the phone a couple days ago.
Was that included here?
No, I don't think so.
I thought I saw.
Is
I
it in
saw
there?
something from Prine.
The last
It's in there? Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't
page
think it was in
39
there.
of our packet.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the way I read that. I have no problem because when I was reading this, and I read that Gritters and Prine and Newhoff use Wellspring, speaks volumes for Wellspring, right?
Mhm.
But that also in Gritter's letter said we would have to evaluate the bid proposals in detail for this specific project, and
No,
we
I-
haven't done that.
I understand that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that they have done business with Wellspring,
Yeah.
and they think that they're a credible company. That's all I
I
wanted
have
to
no
say.
doubt that it is a great company. I have no doubt they're excellent at what they do. I will say some of these pictures that we just got, the one you just handed out, well, go ahead. It just looks like solar arrays.
The one with the white behind it,
Yeah.
that adds about 20% more power to the panels because we have bifacial panels, and the white gives you the solar bounce off the ground, and it also stops having to cut grass and pull weeds underneath them.
Yeah. All right. And
That was not calculated in the savings either, but you have to pay for the white.
right. Well, it seems to me that there is certainly a lot for the facilities committee. And by the way, do we publish facility committee meetings?
No, I haven't. I have them, but I have never published them.
Yeah, you hold them. Here's what I would where'd Mary? There you are. I would suggest that you keep getting information together because you kind of know some of these issues that we've addressed for you. I would say get those to Jim, and he'll present those to the facilities committee.
And Todd for the recreation committee.
And good point. And get them to Todd and Cy for the rec committee. Okay. Or present, you're on it too. So just present it yourself. But I think we all have to work together on this. And then, Jim, when you're ready, hopefully sooner rather than later, why don't you arrange a Zoom meeting, right, with Wellspring, and we can kind of narrow some of these issues down and get some other answers. And then you're going to have to figure out with Prine soon, do we have to reopen the bid process?
Yeah.
Or do we want to stay with what they recommended we need? Because to me, even though the savings might be a little less, although it might take up more land, if Prine said this is what we need to run this place with solar, it seems like to me we wouldn't want to skimp on our energy just to get solar. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Does that make sense?
That based consumers allows you to put in solar up to the amount you use. And that's where that number comes from.
No, I get that, I think. What I'm saying, though, is that if Prine says this is what you want,
that's fine.
Your
I have
solar.
no problem with what you're saying.
Oh, you don't?
Not at all.
All right. And Henry, if you get any more information, do you have a card? Do you have a card? Sure. Or email, or just email Jim. He's on the Canon website, or Mary has it, right? But just let's start looking into this a little more aggressively, okay? And then we will, as we always do, make the right decision. But we're pretty thorough. That doesn't mean we sit around on stuff, because I can't stand sitting around on stuff. So, okay. Cy, do you have anything to add to that?
I just have a question. One idea that I've thought of is like the park and ride by Gravity Tap House in the East Beltline in 96. There is an overhang over the parking lot, and I don't know how much that produces. I don't think it'd be enough to exactly power this building, but there's plenty of blacktop around here that could possibly, I'm not a solar expert, but that could possibly be an option for us, as well as the pickleball courts just on the end of our parking lot. If you could cover that with solar panels, and that would provide shade to the pickleballers, and
Right.
also would provide solar energy.
So that
I asked about
And I don't-
that side
yeah.
of the pickleball court, and because of the technical difficulties of the panels up high and the wind and all that, it raises the price astronomically.
does it.
I understand.
Well, you
Yeah.
know,
I
Todd
checked into that
Okay.
because that was something that Todd had asked.
Todd called me the other day and said, I think I've got a solution to this. This was quite awkward. He said, I got a solution to this. Why don't we put a roof over the pickleball courts? And we can put solar pan. I said, these people, what, now they want a roof? Because it's too sunny. And I said, well, that's why we built it, for people to go out and get exercise and sun. So I called Jim Alice and I said, God, I think I heard the dumbest idea. And he said, what? And I said, put a roof over it. He goes, well, that was my idea. And I said, well, that makes more sense.
That's why it was a dumb idea.
Yeah. But we are considering all kinds of things. But Henry, if you say that really is cost prohibitive, well, Si, that might be a good idea. Why don't we look into that, and we'll come up with something if we can. I do like the idea of being first, because that's what we are. We do lead in canon. I do like the idea. We just have to make sure we thoroughly look at it and have analyzed it. And sometimes I like, let's just be first and figure it out later. This isn't one that we should do that on, I think. So, but all right. So you guys work together on all that,
Yep.
right? Do you have anything else?
You don't have questions.
Anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Go.
If there is damage that happens to the panels, does our insurance cover that? Is there a
Well, that's a good. Is there a warranty for? You probably would, like weather or whatever.
So there is a 6-year workmanship warranty. There is a 25-year warranty on the panels. There is I want to say between 10 and 15-year warranty on the inverters, or on the inverter. You only have one. Your property insurance, in the event of them getting damaged in a storm, they would be covered under your property insurance. From what I was told, it shouldn't raise your property insurance.
Sorry. Who works with our insurance?
I do.
You do? Can you ask them that question? Tell them what would happen to our rates if we got a solar array?
also for vandalism too, not just natural
Good point.
disasters?
Vandalism too. All right. I mean, might as well cross that off.
The panels are rated for 1-inch hail at 55 miles an hour and 100-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh,
So
wow.
in the event of a
Weather's
small
not-
tornado.
Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
And then,
It would be more likely vandalism, probably.
well, even just like it'd be fun to plan if you're a little kid. We at the playground, and then
I
let's
know, I
slide
know.
down these.
I was thinking.
Have you ever touched a black car on a hot summer day?
I'm talking the winter time.
Oh, okay. Well, that's true.
Well, but they reflect the sun. Doesn't black reflect? Or
No, it absorbs light.
So they would be hot even in the summer or winter because the sun is out.
Yeah, assuming that there wasn't snow on them.
Right. Oh, that's another thing. Do we have to keep them cleared of snow?
You don't, because they're bifacial. The sun will hit the backside of the panel and
Melt
heat
it.
it up, melt the snow.
Okay.
Off. Yeah.
How long does the hardware last? The panels last 50 to 60 years, but how often are you having to replace the gears or panel or the hardware for it?
There are no gears. If
Oh, they're not
that's
the movable kind. They're the
correct. No,
Okay.
they are facing south at a 40-degree angle
Okay.
permanently. The hardware, I have not heard in my 3 weeks of working at Wellspring about the hardware failing. So I assume it lasts as long as the panels do. The inverter, it does say on one of the slides. So the inverter, they have to be replaced around year 17 because that's just their life expectancy. The cost that we presented to you today, that includes the cost of replacement of the inverter twice, because the life of the panel is 50 to 60 years. So
Good.
Yeah.
That help you?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? David?
Yes, West Michigan's not the sunniest place in the wintertime. How does that impact the solar panels and the generation of electricity?
the Aurora software that we use, it accounts for every minute of every day of every week of every month of every year.
And that's what those graphs are.
And that's what those
To this
graphs are based
property,
on.
yeah.
This property. Yep.
So it would work here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mary, if you think of anything else, don't wait till the next board meeting. Email us or get it to Henry. Henry will get it, or just whatever. My cell phone's on the thing, and I don't know anything about any of it. But get it to Cy or Jim because they're facilities and rec. And Henry, keep doing your thing if you want. And
I can tell you that I asked about roof mount.
you did what?
I asked about mounting it on the roof, and it does not work here.
It will not work here. The facilities committee already ruled that out, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we have too many roof angles, and we have roof-mounted air conditioners,
And it's not built for it. It wouldn't hold it. That's what Jim Chief said.
yeah, probably.
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't want to have to put a new roof in to get solar, but yeah, I mean, I think you can tell there's nobody on this board, from what I can tell, just reading the board, that's opposed to solar. I would like to try to make, we're going to try. I would like it if it could happen, but it has to make sense. We have to follow the law. We have to follow our processes, and we will get there.
Yep.
Right? And if it works, good. Right? Can we be done now with this? Does anybody care? Do you have anything else, Mary? No. While we're at it, we're not really on public comment, but does anybody else have anything you want to say to us about this? Come on up.
So Andrew Ledrow, 6269 Hazel Green Drive in Rockford. So I just want to clarify two things as they're moving forward, trying to make a decision, was whether or not buying American was a requirement, or would you want to see prices both American made versus...
Well, okay, that's a good point, because I think we would like, from what I can tell from the board, they can all speak for themselves. My view is, so if I'm looking at this and I say, God, I like this idea, we can make this work, I want to buy American, and they say, well, it's going to be 5 times as much. Well, then we got to decide I would have to decide, do I want to buy if it's more important to me to put solar in for the environment, for our residents, or is it a deal breaker that buying American is cost prohibitive? That I don't know yet, because I don't know the difference in the prices.
Right. So my only suggestion was to, when you're looking at the price comparisons, put that into the specs.
Yeah.
Both ways.
Oh yeah. We will find out how much more it is, because it's all going to come out into a net number. It's going to be the net usage, what we need, what we can get provided for this cost. And part of that is the cost associated with where we're going to put it, how many we need. If we move it over here, do we buy American? Can we get it cheaper somewhere? It's all part of it.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for your time.
100% right. Who else? Come on up.
Judy Wood, 5414 Keys. It's my understanding that solar panels degrade over time, and the fact that they don't produce electricity when they're older than when they are new. And the question is, over 60 years, what is that amount of degradation?
Did you get the question? Yep. Can you answer it? If you don't mind, because we do minutes.
Yep. So yes, you are right. They do slowly degrade like a battery would. I don't know to what degree or percentage they degrade after 50 or 60 years, but I could find that out
out and get it to us.
Yeah.
All right. That's a good, because you're talking about like any battery, they degrade as far as their productivity.
They just don't produce efficiently, or something. Whatever I've read is they produce the most power in their first year, and each year it's a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less.
Did you all take that in consideration? What's the answer?
When I bought mine, I was told that about 50 years I would get about 50% of my solar power.
What about in year 10?
In year 10, I'm guaranteed for 34 years I will be at 84% of my solar
Do you
power.
give a guarantee like that, a certain output or efficiency?
You do have one in there.
Yeah, other than from the panel, like the solar panel company itself, 25-year guarantee.
All right. Well, if there's a guarantee, then
Steve, I think in the bids we did, most of the companies that bid, they claim a 0.5% degradation per year. So over 50 years, that'd be about 25% degradation. So you get about 75% of electricity in year 50 that you would in year one. But that's in their
that's built in.
Calculation.
So that question, Judy's question, is already factored in.
Correct.
You guys have considered it. Okay.
But you're going to have to be buying electricity more for the grid later on.
We would have to supplement it if we needed it, unless we got more than we need, and we can in those first few years. Yeah, that's another thing to consider. It's another thing to consider.
Also, they looked at the cost of electricity today, and I forget whether it was 5 something or 7 something a year percent that they added into the cost of electricity, and that's all 5%, and that's all in their formula. So unless the consumers goes nuts and goes above that, that's all factored in the calculations they use.
All right. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for your comments and questions. And if anybody, you too, and if anybody has anything, just get with us, because you can email us or call. So there's no new business. There's 2 emails. I had to laugh. Steve Elkins wants to thank me for the township's assistant in helping the Lake Association. Anyway, do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah.
What is
That
it?
was
Oh,
the-
the
You scoped and you checked the lift station.
That's right. We did do that.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad. And then Scott Meadema thanks us for our work. Yeah. Good. So they're self-explanatory.
Yep.
That's okay. So many years ago, when we had the PFAS issue, there was an elderly woman, nicest person. There was a dump, like right when PFAS, everybody's panicking, which was right. The tannery was a mess. And anyway, they found out there was a tannery dump on 9 Mile. And this lady called me, and we'd already sent the DEQ out, and DEQ then, it's Eagle now. And there were no PFAS. They bored and they tested, and she called and said, well, I found out there was a dump here and I got PFAS. And I said, let me make sure, I'll call. So I called Abby Hendershot, and she said, no, we've already determined, way ahead of you, there's no PFAS there, 0, no detect, nothing. So I called the lady, and she said, well, why are these other communities having such a problem? You solved our PFAS problem in 1 day. and I said, well, it's my job. So anyway. All right. Do we have any committee reports? Nobody? Go ahead. Do you have anything? Do you?
Mm-mm.
I have one kind of neat one that's coming up. Remember Bella Woods? This is Bella Woods right over there. As it turns out, so far, just an update, by talking to them rather forcefully, Eastbrook, it looks like are going to have the trail go through the development and connect with the trail. There's going to be sewer throughout all the lots, every single one of them. And instead of remember when Mick McGraw was here, he said, if you want sewer throughout the whole thing, I'm going to need about 120 lots. 68.
64.
61, 62, and for 6 more lots, we get sewer throughout the whole thing. And he's also providing a traffic study that he paid for us to consider. And so that's coming up to us July. Oh, and he's expanded the no disturb green areas. Yes, so stay tuned on that. No, the last one. The second one, the latter one. That's my committee report. All right, do we have any comments by board members?
We have insurance. Jim Alley's has insurance from Bostrick Lake for the fireworks.
Did you get it,
I did, and I got a thank you from
Wangler?
Wangler saying thank you for turning it around so quick. And I said, next year, don't wait until the day before
Oh,
you're
that
putting the
doesn't do any good.
fireworks
They
out.
always
They
do
always
this.
do.
Boswick always does this.
So anyway, everybody's all set. There's going to be fireworks at all three lakes.
Good.
2 of them on the 3rd, 1 of them on the 4th.
All right. Anybody else have comments? No, nobody. All right. Anybody else have anything? Extended public comment. Anybody? Yes. Come on up.
Lori Romsberg again. I was just wondering about the cemetery because this is the first I've heard we're putting it next to the playground, which seems an
but
unusual
no,
choice.
That's what we're considering. It's not going to be next to the playground.
The playground is here, the big field where the solar array would be here, and the cemetery's on the far side of that. So
Back where the cell tower is?
behind the cell tower, and then
Where the woods are
north
to the south.
of it. So it's all woods now, so it's going to be significant tree loss. But it saved us about $500,000 in purchasing property that we'd also have to take trees down and stuff by using our own
And buy
existing
property.
property. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
yep,
It'll be good.
it'll work.
I hope. Yes, sir.
So Andrew Ledger again. So I work part-time with the Conservation District. I know you're spending a lot of money back there to get rid of invasives.
Are we?
Do what?
Get rid of invasives? But are we?
Yeah.
These are invasive.
Along the trail, correct.
We have.
Yeah, so, if you're thinking of cutting down trees and putting it in a cemetery, you might want to coordinate with us to make sure that you're not spending money on an area that ultimately is going to get taken care of in a different,
Good idea.
just,
Get with Jim. Because you're talking about the cemeteries, right? When we cut.
yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
just thinking, and then it also saves us with our resources. We have limited
Yeah.
time and resources as well.
Yep,
So
that makes sense. I hadn't
just-
thought about that, but thank you.
Yeah.
You guys get together on that. All right. Anybody else? What a great meeting this was. All right.
One more.
Oh,
Last
I'm sorry. We're done. No, go ahead.
Megan McNaughton, 6908 5 Mile. Question: has the position on the Planning Commission been filled?
Oh, I don't know.
I do know that we have 3 applicants. They came into me. I forwarded them on to Ed, and he was going to do the interviews. And I don't know the.
Oh, that's right. They made them go to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's happened? Oh, there you are. I looked up here. You were gone. I didn't see you. So the Ed and the way this works historically shouldn't have bothered you with it, but it's what happened. We get applications. Ed and the chairman of the planning commission go through those and make a recommendation to me, because I think I'm supposed to make the
Correct.
statutorily, right?
Yep.
So I make a recommendation to the board. It's basically who they want. I have in the past, I wasn't quite sure, so I had an interview. But generally, it'll be what the planning commission chair and Ed recommend. I will check with Ed because I don't know where that is right now.
I will check tomorrow, Megan, for you, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, can you?
Yep.
No, it's a good question because I don't know.
Yeah, I should have checked with Ed before.
What was the? Oh, we just put. There was an opening on the ZBA. We put Rita on that.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
She was
so-
already an alternate.
Yeah.
She went to
So that has been filled. So I don't know. You will get with her, right?
Yep.
Perfect. Anybody else? Nobody? Last call? All right. We're adjourned. Thank you so much for coming.